Hello everyone and welcome back to our virtual Mishnah Berurah here. We're holding a Mishnah Berurah Chela Gimel, and Amir Tzah Hashem, today we will be learning Daf Mem Beis Amid Beis. We are continuing to learn Hilchos Shabbos. We pick up today on Daf Mem Beis Amid Aleph, 2 lines off the bottom. Last word on the line, in the words of the Ramah, Haga. Our learning should be a schus for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, Hanasunim Bar Tzaru Bashivya, Ha'imdim Bein Bayom Ubein Bayabasha, Hamakim Yerachem Aleim, V'yetziam mitzar l'rvacha me'afela la'iro mishibud l'gu'ula hashta ba'gala v'zman kariv and emar amen. Our learning should be a schus refuah shalema for Tzvi ben Leah Miriam, who is in need of rachem shamayim. Okay, so we're here in Siman Reish Samach Vav in the middle of Sif Yud Beis. Here in Siman Reish Samach Vav, we've been learning the halachas that pertain to somebody who finds himself caught outside in Rishus Harabim carrying something when Shabbos comes in. So we have somebody who got stuck on the road. He has a wallet, he has a purse, he has packages. We've discussed several different scenarios. What if he has a chamor and an Eina Yehudi? What if he only has a chamor? What if he has no chamor, no Eina Yehudi? He has a cherish shoit of a cotton. What should he do when he's out in the Rishus Harabim? How should he comport himself when he gets back to town, when he gets to a Rishus HaYochid? Okay, now we pick up in this Ramah, says the Ramah Haga. Let's say Shabbos began, and then somebody realizes, I have my wallet. I'm carrying my wallet. So he has his wallet, and now it's Shabbos. What should he do? Okay, says the Ramah, we have to look at 2 different possibilities. One is imhu bebeisai. Let's say he's inside his home. Well, if he's inside his home, he's inside a Rishus HaYochid, we don't have any hoitzah issue over here. We're not dealing with issues of hoitzah. The only issue that we're dealing with is the issue of muktzah. His wallet and the money inside it is all muktzah. What does he do? So, says the Ramah, if that's the problem, he could take the wallet and walk with it to a room. Now, it would seem from the words of the Ramah, and this is actually a little bit problematic, but the issues involved are really a little bit beyond the scope of what we do here. But I will just point out the problem to you. The words of the Ramah seem to indicate that the case we're speaking of is where somebody has a money pouch and he has the pouch tied to his belt. So he's not physically holding the purse. The purse is on his belt. Maybe it's a bag that's strapped maybe has one of those carabiners on his on his belt, and he's got a pouch hanging off it. Maybe he's got a fanny pack. I guess that would be the same halacha, really. But we're not talking about where he's actually holding the wallet or the purse in his hand. It's really on his guf. It's on his person. Because look what the Ramah says. He says, Imu bebeisa, if this person is in his house, yachal leilech imay lacheder, he could go with the purse into a room. And what's he going to do? Lahatir chagoiroi. A chagor is a belt. He's going to open up his belt. V'lipol sham. And the wallet will fall. Latznioi. And he'll let the wallet fall in a protected area in his house. That's what the Ramah is being matir over here. So that's the first scenario. Now let's take a look at the Mishnah Berurah. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cut and lamed hey. Yachal leilech. So, what happened? It's Shabbos. This person is realizing that he has his wallet on his person. The Ramah is saying, okay, you could go to a room and you could let the wallet fall down in the room, in a protected area. Explains the Mishnah Berurah why. The words of the Mishnah Berurah, the words of the Chavetz Chaim, who certainly chose every word carefully, since the muktzah is in his hand, he's allowed to take it wherever he wants. Now, let's explain this. Let's give a very general case. We know that there are different categories of muktzah. One of the most prevalent categories of muktzah is a kli shemalachtai le'isr, a keli that's really intended for use to do work on Shabbos that's prohibited. A keli that you use for malacha that's also on Shabbos. What would be a great example of a kli shemalachtai le'isr? A hammer. A hammer is generally used in construction. That's what a hammer is used for. The purpose of a hammer is the malacha of boine, or the malacha of soiser. That's what a hammer is. So it's a kli. It's definitely a keli, and it's a kli shemalachto le'iser. It's generally intended for work, maleches iser, work that's forbidden on Shabbos. So it's muktzah. Why is it muktzah? Because it's set aside from Shabbos use. A hammer is not a Shabbos item. A hammer is a during the week item. So it's muktzah, the opposite of muchan, and you're not allowed to be metaltal it. But let's say you have whole walnuts in your house, and you can't find the nutcracker. A hammer would be very handy. Take the hammer, smash the walnut open. So the hammer has a perfectly good Shabbos use. So it's a kli shemalachto le'iser, which is generally muktzah. But there's a heter that you're allowed to move that kli shemalachto le'iser for a couple of reasons. One is tzarich gufay. If you need it to smash open walnuts, you're allowed to go ahead and use it. I've seen the same thing happen with a screwdriver, a screw, and a plier. A screwdriver is also kli shemalachto le'iser. A vice grip is also kli shemalachto le'iser. A screw is probably a kli shemalachto le'iser. But what do you do if you have a bottle of wine that has a cork, and you're away for Shabbos, and you don't have a corkscrew? But you see a screw and a screwdriver and a vice grip. You take the screw, you take the screwdriver, you screw it into the cork, you take the vice grip, and you pull the cork out. Presto, you've got a corkscrew. You know what? It's mutter, because you're handling the kli shemalachto le'iser tzarich gufay. You're handling it for a use that's perfectly allowable on Shabbos. Another very common case where you're allowed to move a kli shemalachto le'iser is tzarich mekaymai. Let's say you had a contractor in your house doing work on Erev Shabbos, and he did some work in your master bedroom, and then he left, and you didn't have a chance to check the room before Shabbos, which you certainly should have done. And now you come into the master bedroom, and there's a circular saw on your bed. Okay, well, you need your bed, right? You need to sleep on your bed. So the circular saw is a kli shemalachto le'iser. So you're allowed to pick up the kli shemalachto le'iser because it's tzarich mekaymai. You need the place that the circular saw is resting on. So you take the circular saw and you want to go put it somewhere. Now we'll get into the details of these halachas. That's not the thrust of what we're learning today. Could be it would be better to do tiltal min hatzad. Could be it would be better to tilt the mattress and let the circular saw fall off and kick it under the bed. I'm not getting into that right now. But you're allowed to move the circular saw tzarich mekaymai. Now, when you pick it up off the bed, it's off the bed now. So are you mechuyev to drop it? I mean, the tzarich mekaymai purpose for which I moved the circular saw has been accomplished. I got it off the bed. So why am I handling it now? Am I mechuyev to just drop it wherever it is? The answer is no. You're allowed to take it downstairs to the basement and put it on the work table downstairs in the basement. That's what the Mishnah Berurah is saying over here. The Mishnah Berurah is saying that what the Ramah is telling you is like this. You realized at the beginning of Shabbos that you have your wallet on your person. You're inside your house, so there's no issue of haitzah. You're in a rishus hayachid. The only problem is muktzah. Okay, says the Ramah, you're not mechuyev to undo your belt and drop and let the wallet drop smack in the middle of your kitchen, so you have the wallet sitting on the kitchen floor all Shabbos. No, the same way you're allowed to pick up the circular saw off the bed and take it downstairs to the basement. You could now go with the money bag, and you could go to your office in your house, your home office, and you could drop it so that it should fall under the desk and it should be protected over there for the entirety of Shabbos. Now, the difficulty that I alluded to before is that the Ramah says that we're talking about a case where you're going to open your belt and let it fall. It sounds very much like we're talking about a money pouch that's attached to your belt. Now, in that case, you're not handling it. It's on your person. It's even more kulidik to walk to the office and drop it in the office, because you're not even handling it with your hands. The words of the Mishnah Berurah are, since you're holding the muktzah, you're allowed to take it. But that's not the case of the Ramah. Now, it could be what Chavetz Chaim is telling you is a kal v'chomer. If the halacha is that you could take something that's muktzah, and once you're holding it, you could transport it to wherever you want, then certainly if you're not holding the muktzah, if it's just hanging on your belt, certainly you could take it wherever you want. But then the question becomes, why did the Ramah give us that case? Why did the Ramah give us a case where it's attached to your belt? If the Ramah held that even if you're holding the wallet, you could go ahead and you could transport it. Why didn't the Ramah tell us that? Why did the Ramah give us a case where it's hanging on your belt? Food for thought. Okay. Now the Mishnah Berurah brings down a dissenting opinion. Says the Mishnah Berurah, but the Gra in the Biur Gra is machmir against this Ramah. And the reason the Gra is machmir is because the Gra draws a great distinction between the case of the wallet and the case of the circular saw on the bed. By the case of the circular saw on the bed, you go into the master bedroom and you see the circular saw on the bed, the halacha is that you are allowed to pick it up. So when you pick it up to move it tzarech b'kaimai, you are now holding it beheter. Once you're holding it beheter, says the Gra, now we let you take it downstairs and put it in the workshop. But in our case of Sif Yud Beis here, the Ramah's case, where you're holding the wallet, you forgot that your wallet was on your person, and now it's Shabbos, you're not holding it beheter. You're really holding it be'eser. You have a dvar muktzah on your person in contravention of the halachas of muktzah. Now you did it b'shoigeg, but you didn't pick it up. You're not holding it beheter like the circular saw. The circular saw you had a heter gomer to go pick up. So we'll let you transport it to wherever you want. We're not going to say that that's true by the wallet. By the wallet, is it true that you had a heter gomer to be holding it? No, not really. You really weren't supposed to be holding it when Shabbos came in. The fact that you're holding it is not beheter gomer. So therefore, says the Gra, no, he disagrees with this Ramah, the Gra. And he says, no, in this case, we're not going to just let you go to wherever you want and drop it down. Now, if it's a case, says the Mishnah Berurah, where if you're going to open your belt tekif and right away when you realize you have the wallet, and the money is going to spill onto the floor, if it's a place where people are going to come and swoop up the money, it could be that even the gra would be matter this in the case of a hefsid. So that was the first scenario of the Ramah, where you realized that your wallet was on your person and you're located in your home. Continues the Ramah, last two words on the line. V'im hu, turning to Membez, v'im hu bashuk. But what if we do if you're not in your house? What if we do if you're out and about? You're in the shuk. You're in a rishus harabim. Now you don't only have a moktzah issue. You have a hitzah issue. You're in the Rishus Harabim. If you walk for Daled Amos, you have a problem of being Maver Chayfetz Daled Amos Rishus Harabim. That's Hoitzah. You also have a problem if you're going to go home, then you're going to have a problem of transferring the wallet from the Rishus Harabim into the Rishus HaYachid. So not only do you have a Muktzah issue now you have a Hoitzah issue. Says the Ramah, V'emu Bashuk, if you're out in the Rishus Harabim, Aser Lahaviyai Lebeisai. You're not allowed to bring the wallet home. Now, we have to pause there for a second. You're not allowed to bring the wallet home. Well, let's remember earlier, we said that if a person gets stuck in traffic, a person is out on Erev Shabbos in the Rishus Harabim, and now Shabbos starts, we spoke about a whole bunch of different possibilities of how he might be able to go ahead and get his wallet home. One of the possibilities we had was that he could run home with his wallet. And we saw that in the very beginning of our Sif, where we had a machlokes. We had two shittas in the mechaber. One shitta said, the same way if you're carrying a package on Erev Shabbos, we were matir that you could run home with your package if Shabbos started. So too with a wallet. You have your wallet on your person, and now it's Shabbos, you could run home with your wallet. That was the second opinion in the mechaber in Sif Yud Beis, the Yesh Oimrim. 2 lines off the bottom. V'yesh oimrim duhu hadin likisai. The same way we're matir, if you're carrying a heavy package and now it became Shabbos, we said you could run home with certain qualifications of how you do it without akiras, etc., etc. So there's a yesh oimrim that says you could do the same thing with the wallet. So why now are we saying that you can't do it with the wallet? The Mishnah Berurah is going to say that when the Ramah says over here that you're not allowed to go home with the wallet, he's talking about where it's a case where there's no hefsid. It's a case where you don't have to run home with the wallet because there's another eitzah. There's another eitzah that you could do to protect your money. Says the Ramah, also la via lebeisai, you can't go home with the wallet. Instead, rak mater chagoyroi bashuk, you should open up your belt in the shuk, v'hud neifel, and let the wallet fall down. But what should you do? V'omer le'ena Yehudi l'shamroi, and you should ask an Eina Yehudi to watch it for you. Okay, if you can't do that, the Mishnah Berurah is going to say, if you have no way to protect it, then you could run home with it, in accordance with the Yesh Omrim at the beginning of Sif Yud Beis. If you can't protect it, if it's a case of a hefsid, then you could taka run home with it. Or the Mishnah Berurah is going to say, if you don't trust the Eina Yehudi, you're asking the Eina Yehudi to watch it. He's like, yeah, sure, boss, I'm going to watch it. And the minute you're out of sight, he pockets the money. So continues the Ramav. Now, if you ask Tony, the Eina Yehudi, to watch your wallet for you, and then he says, sure, boss, no problem, I'll watch it. And then he says, you know what, I'll bring it home for you. He picks it home and he picks it up and he brings it home for you. Ein lachush, you don't have to worry about it. There's no Amir Lakum issue here. Why? Because this is a classic case of Nachri Adaita Danav Sheikh Ovid. I didn't ask him to bring it home. He decided to bring it home for me. And the truth is that it's a benefit for him. I asked him to watch it. He's going to watch it, what, till after Shabbos? He's going to stand here now for 6 hours and watch your wallet? He's not interested. So he shows up at your house 15 minutes later. He says, boss, what, I'm going to stand there and watch it all day? I brought it home for you. Here's your wallet. Tell me where to put it. So if he brings it home, you don't have to worry about it. The Ramah closes out this sif by saying, take a look in Siman Shin Yud, where we're going to get into the weeds of the halachas of basis. What if this is not a wallet or a purse that's tied onto your belt or in your pocket? What if it's a pocket? It's sewed on to your beged, and the money is sewed into your beged. What do you do then? Does the beged become muktzah or not, etc., etc.? We'll see that Be'ez Hashem Yisbarach in Siman Shin Yud. Now let's go weiter in the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah is cut in Lamed Vav. Bashuk. Now we discussed the scenario of what if you're out and about in the Rishus Harabim. Says the Mishnah Berurah, it doesn't really have to be just a bona fide Rishus Harabim. Or maybe you're in a place where really midaraisa you are allowed to carry, but you're not allowed to carry because you didn't make a shituf. I'm not going to get into the weeds of shitufei mevuais right now, but a mavui is a type of alleyway. It was an alleyway that technically was a Rishus HaYachid, but it looked and felt too much like a Rishus HaRabim. So Chazal wa Mesakin that in order to be able to carry in that mavui, there's a tikkun that you have to make. You have to make a type of eruv. Instead of a diruvei chatzeros, you have to make a shetufei mevuos. Says the Mishnah Berurah, if you have a mavui that requires a shetufei mevuos and it doesn't have one, and now that's where you are when you realize that your wallet is on your person, so now it's an Issa D'Rabbanan to carry it, you would have to follow these same guidelines. Continues the Mishnah Berurah. All of this that the Ramah says over here, that the Ramah says that if you realize the wallet's on you when you're in the Rishus Harabim, you can't take it home, says the Mishnah Berurah, V'dafka kishe'ein misyarei min ha'einim Yehudim shema yukachu. That's only if you're not afraid that your wallet is going to get lost, is going to get stolen if you don't take it home. Avalim yari shema yikhloi sama eina Yehudim. But if you're afraid that the Einim Yehudim that are out and about in the Rishus Harabim are going to take your wallet and you're going to suffer a significant hefsid, Rashoy Laretzi Moile Beisai, then you could run home with the wallet in accordance with the Yesh Omrim in Sif Yud Beis. That if you're stuck outside Rishus Harabim when Shabbos comes in and you have a wallet on you, we give you the heter of running home. But we have to remember all of the details of that heter. Says the Mishnah Berurah, yeah, you could take it home. But reminds us, you could run home with the wallet. But you have to remember that you have to run, you can't walk. Why? Because we want to make sure that you never stop. Why do we want you never to stop? We want to make sure that you never make an akira in the Rishus Harabim with this wallet. And therefore there's another condition here. It has to be that when you remembered you had the wallet on your person, kishehu mahalach, you were walking, and now you remembered that you have your wallet on you. So now you keep on walking. So you're never making an akira on Shabbos. Since you're just walking, you never made an akira. Now, even if you transported Dalan Amos in Rishus Harabim, and even if you make a hanacha there's no Issa Daraisa, because you didn't have an Akira on the front end, transport in the middle, Hanocha on the back end. Veloy Amad Lofush. And also, when you're running home, never stop to rest. Because if you stop to rest, when you start to go again, you make a new Akira. And then when you get to your house, remember the rules. When you get to the Rishus HaYachid, Yizrekena Tekev Kalachayad, Lebeisai V'chanal, you got to toss the package off your back in a way that's with a shinui, so that you're not making an Akira in the Rishus HaRabim and a Hanacha in the Rishus HaYachid. Oizkat Lamed Zayin. So the Ramah said that you should ask an Ein Yehudi to watch the wallet for you. Vim isyari lismay chaleim. If you don't trust the Ein Yehudi, rashoy litzavaysam loylech lebeisay. Then you could actually do amir la'akum, and you could tell the Ein Yehudi, please take this wallet to my house. No big chiddush in that, really, because that's what we learned at the beginning of the Siman. We learned at the beginning of the Siman, you're stuck outside in the Rishus HaRabim, Shabbos came in. One of the eitzes that we gave was to tell an Ein Yehudi to take it and carry it for you. We're matir the Abir La'akum because Adam Bohol Al Mamoinai, we don't want the person himself to come to perform this in Daraisa. The Eitzazu, and the Chavetz Chaim says, this Eitzah of asking an Ein Yehudi to take it home, in a case where you're afraid you're going to lose it if you don't, Toiv Yoiser B'She'ef Shalom Yikalo Afana Manal. If you're out in the Rishus HaRabim with your wallet, and if you drop your wallet in the Rishus HaRabim, you're afraid it's going to vanish. So then, says the Mishnah Berurah, better do Amir Al-Akam and ask an Ein Yehudi to take it home for you. That would be better than using the Eitzah of running home yourself while you're carrying it, because then you're risking doing a malach on your own. So v'Eitzah zu tov yaiseh b'she'ef shalom mikol ha'afan manal v'ayin b'chai adam klal nun dalid sif dalid. Okay, now we go to Sif Yud Gimel, the final Sif in this fascinating Siman. Says the Mechaber, Motza Arniki b'Shabbos. You're walking home from shul on Shabbos, and you see a wallet on the floor, and you see a bunch of $100 bills sticking out. Also litloi, you're not allowed to take it. Not allowed to take it. Muktzah, hoitzah, if you walk with it, but even just muktzah, you're not allowed to take it. Afal pishi yare pen yikad beno acher. Even though you're looking down at this wallet, it's got $500 sticking out of it. It's open for the taking, and if you don't take it, it's not going to be there Motzi Shabbos. You're not allowed to take it. We're not going to be matir. We're not going to be mekel in the halachas of muktzah to allow you to make profit by finding a mitzvah. We're not going to make you take a loss. We'll relax the halachas of muktzah. We'll give you a terim so that you shouldn't take a loss. But this is not considered a loss. This was never your money. It never came to you. It was never yours. So it'll be like they're not yours. That's not called a loss. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Katlam Ches, Asa Litlai, Afilu Yami Tachtov. This is true even if you're not going to walk with it. In other words, you'll say, you know what? I'll take it, and I'll stand there all Shabbos, so there's no hitzah issue. I'm not going to carry it to Rishus HaRabim. I'm not going to take it home. I'm going to stand here with it all Shabbos. No, you're not allowed to do it. It's muktzah. So even Afilu Yami Tachtov Layav Arba Amos, Afilu Achi Asi Mishum Muktzah. We're not going to give you a heter over here to prevent you taking a loss. It was never yours. So there's no loss involved. Because of Magen Avram, the Magen Avram writes, you wouldn't even be able to be allowed to ask an Ein Yehudi to pick it up for you. The El Yerab is makel to ask a non-Jew to pick it up for you. What he's matir is, he's makel if the Ein Yehudi is going to pick it up. In other words, you could ask, the Rabbi Akiva Eiger says, you could ask the Ein Yehudi to pick up the wallet for you, but you can't ask him to take it home. Why? Because if you ask him to pick it up, what are you asking him? You're asking him to perform tiltal on a dvar muktzah. What is that? That's an issa d'Rabbanan. And you're doing it through Amir Al-Akum, which is also d'Rabbanan. So it's a shvus to shvus. It's a double d'Rabbanan, right? You're doing Amir Al-Akum, which is an issa d'Rabbanan, to ask an Ein Yehudi to do something that's also in d'Rabbanan. So that's a double d'Rabbanan. That's all you're asking over here. But you can't ask him to take it home for you, because now that would be Amir Al-Akum on a daraisa. If he takes it, he picks it up in Rishos Harabim, goes 4 amos or more. If he stops, that's Haitzah Daraisa. If he brings it into your house, it's Haitzah Daraisa, because he made an Akira in Rishos Harabim, he's going to make a Hanach in Rishos HaYachid. You can't ask him to do an Issa Daraisa, to find a Mitzvah. But if you ask the Eni Yehudi to just pick it up for you, and then he picks it up and he takes it home for you, nobody would say that you have to stop him. That concludes the fascinating Siman Reish Samach Vav. We move on now to Siman Reish Samach Zayin. Dinei HaTfilah be'erev Shabbos. The halachas that govern davening on erev Shabbos, uboy gimel seifim, and here we have 3 seifim. We're going to discuss something that a lot of people don't know a whole lot about. That's very, very negaya nowadays, and people often are very curious about it. So stay tuned. Says the Mechaber Sif Aleph. Betfilas hamincha be'erev Shabbos ein noiflin al pneihem. There's no tachton by mincha on erev Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Aleph. Ein noiflin. Why? Mipnei shu samach la'achnos Shabbos. Because we're close to Shabbos. So there's already an aspect of Kedusha Shabbos. Everybody's busy making cholent and making chicken soup and making delicacies for Shabbos and cleaning up for Shabbos and showering for Shabbos, getting dressed for Shabbos. There's already a connection to Shabbos. Since there's already a connection to Shabbos, it's inappropriate to say Tachdun. We know that we never say Tachdun any time that it's called a Moed, anything that has a shmek of Yom Tov, we don't say Tachdun. So close to Shabbos, we don't say Tachdun. The Kosev of the Pri Begadim says, V'nireh, to hu adin keshem espal mincha gedoyla achachatzos nami ein neuflin al pedeim. From the Lavush, it sounds like the reason we don't say tachton by mincha is because it's close to Shabbos. Says the Pri Begadim, what if it's not close to Shabbos? What if you davened mincha by mincha gedoyla? Mincha gedoyla is only a half an hour after chatzos. It's very early in the day. It's not really close to Shabbos. The Pri Begadim says you still don't say tachton. If somebody washes after chatzos and he's going to bench, you don't say al naris bavel. Al naris bavel is very sad. It's talking about those that came out from Eretz Yisrael, the Golus Bavel. They're walking al naris bavel. Sham yashavnu gam bachinu. We were crying. That's not appropriate for Erev Shabbos. Ki im shir hamalis. Instead, you say shir hamalis, which is joyous. That's why we say shir hamalis on Shabbos. V'ayin bir halacha. Okay. Sif Beis. Famous Sif. Says the Mechaber. Makdimin lihispalel arvis yoiser mibiyamois hachol. Friday night, we should daven Ma'ariv earlier than we usually do. Okay, let's pause here for a minute. Says the Mishnah Berurah Cotton Beis. Makdimin. You should daven Ma'ariv earlier on Friday night than you do the rest of the week. Why is that? Says the Chavetz Chaim, and he brings this down from the Bach. Mishum dehavenihige alma lekabel aleim Shabbos michi pasach hashliach tzibur baruchu ukedalael b'simin reish samach aleph sif daled. We have mentioned previously that one of the points in davening, one of the points of the day that we consider to be Kabbalah Shabbos is baruchu by Ma'ariv. Why? The words of baruchu have nothing to do with Kabbalah Shabbos. So why is baruchu Kabbalah Shabbos? Because baruchu is the beginning of Ma'ariv of Shabbos night. Once you start davening Ma'ariv of Shabbos night, you're acknowledging that it's Shabbos night. So when you say baruchu, that's instantly a Kabbalah Shabbos. Says the Bach, and the Mishnah Berurah is bringing this down. You know why you should daven Ma'ariv early? Because baruchu, the beginning of Ma'ariv, marks Kabbalah Shabbos. We want you to be Makabel Shabbos earlier. So let's see it inside in the Mishnah Berurah. Mishum dehavenihig yamal kabel aleim Shabbos v'ki pasach hashliach tzibur baruchu. Baruchu marks already a Kabbalah Shabbos. Ukedaleil b'simin reish samach aleph sif daled. Lakach, therefore, mehanochain, it would be proper lahaktib lehispal arvis to make davening Ma'ariv a little bit earlier. Kedei lahaktib a Kabbalah Shabbos, in order to bring forward Kabbalah Shabbos, Tosfos Shabbos. We want to add on Michael ala Kodesh. We're mechuyev to add on Michael ala Kodesh. So make Ma'ariv a little bit earlier. V'hu adin diyachal lekabel of Shabbos kodim tfilas arvis. Now the Mishnah Berurah reminds us, you don't have to wait until baruchu of Ma'ariv to be B'kabel Shabbos. You can be B'kabel Shabbos earlier. So long as it's after Plag HaMincha, you could say, I'm a Kabbalah Shabbos. You don't have to wait until Baruch Hu. Now let's go back into the Shulchan Aruch. Says the Shulchan Aruch at the bottom line here. The Mechaber said, I just told you, says the Mechaber, that you should daven Ma'ariv earlier Friday night than you do the rest of the week. Okay, how early should I daven? How early could I daven? Says the Mechaber, Umi Plag HaMincha, once you hit Plag HaMincha, according to us, an hour and 15 minutes before Shkia, Shitas Hagra, an hour and 15 minutes before Shkia. Remember, Mincha Ketana is 2.5 hours before Shkia. Plag HaMincha means half of the time between Mincha Ketana and Shkia. Half of 2.5 is an hour and 15, an hour and a quarter. So an hour and 15 minutes before Shkia, that's what's called Plag HaMincha. Says the Mechaber, we Plag HaMincha yochel lahadlik. Once it's Plag HaMincha, you could already sin Shabbos licht. You could light the Shabbos candles. We learned earlier, if you light the Shabbos candles before Plag, it's worthless. But after Plag, you could already light the Shabbos candles. Umi Plag HaMincha yochel lahadlik. You could light the Shabbos candles. Uli Kabbalah Shabbos. You could be Makabal Shabbos already after Plag HaMincha. Before Plag HaMincha, Kabbalah Shabbos is worthless. You get up 3 hours before Shkia, you say, I'm Makabal Shabbos. It's like saying I'm Makabal Shabbos on Sunday. You can't be Makabal Shabbos on Sunday. You can't be Makabal Shabbos on Monday. You can't be Makabal Shabbos Friday morning. So you can't be Makabal Shabbos before Plag. But after Plag, you could light. You could be Makabal Shabbos with Tfilas Arvis. We're saying that Ma'ariv is Kabbalah Shabbos. Once it's Plag, you could be Makabal Shabbos with Tfilas Ma'ariv. So what did the Mechaber just tell me? The Mechaber told me Friday night you could daven Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha. Now this is very interesting. Just a drop of background over here. The beginning of Masechtas Brachos. This Machlokes, famous Machlokes, the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda. The Zman of Ma'ariv. When could you start davening Ma'ariv? When is it considered Laila that you could already daven Ma'ariv? Rabbi Yehuda says once you reach Plag HaMincha, it's already Laila. And after Plag HaMincha, you can daven Ma'ariv. You know what you can't do after Plag HaMincha? You can't daven Mincha after Plag HaMincha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you have to daven Mincha up until Plag HaMincha. That's when you can daven Mincha. After Plag HaMincha, no more Mincha. Now you can daven Ma'ariv, because now it's Laila. That sheet is Rabbi Yehuda. The Chachamim disagree. The Chachamim say you can't daven Ma'ariv until after Tzeis HaKechavim. Until Tzeis HaKechavim is day. Well, at least until Ben Hashmashus is Vaday Yom. Ben Hashmashus is Safek Yom, Safek Laila. But Vaday Laila is after Tzeis HaKechavim, according to the Chachamim. Says the Mechaber over here, on Friday night, you could daven Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha. So that means that on Friday night, you could paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. Even if all year, even if Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Motzei Shabbos, you paskin like the Chachamim, and you don't daven Ma'ariv before Plag HaMincha. We don't paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. So you never daven Ma'ariv before Plag HaMincha. On Friday night, you could daven Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha. So says the Mechaber. Let's take a look here at the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah is cut in Gimel. Umi Plag. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Mashma midivrei HaMagen Avram. It's mashma from the words of Magen Avram. It's not only mashma, it's very clear, really. I mean, I'm not arguing with the Chofetz Chaim. The Chofetz Chaim says it's mashma. Mashma midivrei HaMagen Avram. It's implied by the words of the Magen Avram. Da'afilu anoihagin lehispal Ma'ariv bizmana. Even those people who always daven Ma'ariv after Tzeis HaKechavim, like the sheet of the Chachamim, all week long they always daven Ma'ariv bizman. They always daven Ma'ariv after Tzeis. Mutarim lehispal b'leil Shabbos miba'od yom. On Friday night, they could daven Ma'ariv when it's still day. I mean, if it's after Plag HaMincha, according to the Chachamim, it's day. It's not quasi-day, it's not twilight, it's not Ben Hashmashus. After Plag HaMincha is still day. So says the Magen Avram, when the Mechaber is telling you over here, you could daven Ma'ariv after Plag on Friday night, it's even though you're flying in the face of what you do every other day of the week. Every other day of the week, you're makpid to daven Ma'ariv after Tzeis HaKechavim. You wouldn't dream of davening Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha because it's day. But on Friday night, you could daven Ma'ariv early, you could daven Ma'ariv while it's still day after Plag. Ubilvad, continues the Mishnah, with one caveat. Ubilvad, sheyeh mi Plag HaMincha ve'elech. It has to be after Plag. Can't daven Ma'ariv for Plag. And now the Mishnah Berurah explains why this is okay. Why is this okay? It doesn't seem to make any sense. Says the Mishnah, I'll tell you why it's okay. We know, we've spoken about at great length, that there's a chiyuv of Tais v'Shabbos. Not just a minig, it's a chiyuv of Tais v'Shabbos. You have to be moisif michayil ala kodesh. We learned it out from Sukkim in Yonah D'Yoma. We learned it out from a pasuk by Yom Kippur. By Yom Kippur, but it says Batisha be'erev. So we learn out from there that you have to be moisif michayil ala kodesh. So says the Mishnah Berurah, since there's a chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos, ukvar kibel Shabbos alav, and in line with the chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos, you were Makabel Shabbos early. You have a chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos, so you were Makabel Shabbos during the day, Friday during the day. So now Yachal Lismach al Dasa Seivim to have a Kalayla linyan Tefillah. Basically, what he's saying is like this. You have a chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos. The chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos, in essence, says that even though Shabbos starts Friday night, right? It starts it's Shabbos is Shabbos. The Yiddish day starts the night before. So true Shabbos starts at nightfall Friday night. It starts Friday night, not Friday during the day. But the chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos says that you have to be moisif bechayil ala kodesh. So you have to take a piece of Friday and you have to turn it into Shabbos. And remember what we learned earlier. In order to be mekayim your chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos, you have to take a piece of Vaday Yom. You can't be mekayim the chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos by taking bein hashmoshes, by taking a piece of Friday night that's suffix whether it's Friday or whether it's Shabbos, and turning it into Shabbos and using it for Tosefes Shabbos. Because that's already a suffix, it might already be Shabbos. In order to be mekayim the chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos, you have to take a piece of time that's a Vaday day, Vaday Friday. And you have to be mekadesh that time to make it Shabbos. But once you make it Shabbos, what are you saying? If you're calling it Shabbos, then it's not Friday anymore. If it's not Friday anymore, that means that Friday day is over. So says the Mishnah Berurah, you know why you could do like Rabbi Yehuda and David Meirav early on Friday night? Because the chiyuv of Tosefes Shabbos is driving you and compelling you to take a piece of Friday and turn it into Shabbos. Once you turn it into Shabbos, behechrich, it's already Friday night. You already declared it to be Friday night. Once you declare it to be Friday night, lechumra, by declaring it to be Friday night, you're aser b'malacha. You would have been mutar b'malacha still. It's Friday. But you turned it into Friday night lechumra. Now you're aser b'malacha. You have all the dinim of Shabbos on you. Then you could also daven Ma'ariv already. If you're calling it Friday night le'inyan hilchas Shabbos, then it's already Friday night le'inyan davening Ma'ariv. That's how the Mishnah Berurah explains this. However, says the Mishnah Berurah, and this is the inyan that you'll hear a lot of people talk about when it comes to the question of making early Shabbos, of tarti desasri, doing two things that contradict each other. However, says the Mishnah Berurah, if you're going to do this, if you're going to daven Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha, when you never daven Ma'ariv, Monday you'll daven Mincha after Plag HaMincha. But Friday night you're going to daven Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha. If you're going to do this, says the Mishnah Berurah, someone who's going to do this is going to daven Ma'ariv after Plag. Yizar al kol panim be'erev Shabbos. He has to be careful on erev Shabbos. Lehispal Mincha koydem Plag HaMincha. Then you got to daven Mincha before Plag. Don't tell me you're going to daven Mincha after Plag, and then daven Ma'ariv after Plag. You can't daven Mincha and Ma'ariv together in the same time slot. You're going to daven Mincha after Plag. That means you're passing like the Chachamim. That nightfall is until Tzeis. That's how you're davening Mincha after Plag. Then you're going to daven Ma'ariv after Plag before Tzeis. Why? Because now you're following Shittas Rabbi Yehuda that after Plag is already nightfall. Well, then how did you just daven Mincha? That's doing two things that contradict each other. That's tarti desasri. You can't do that. You can't take two contradictory positions. That's why the Mishnah Berurah says, if you're going to do this, Yizar al Kampanim be'erev Shabbos, that on Erev Shabbos you have to be careful. Lehispal mincha kaida plag mincha. To daven mincha before plag. Kedei shelo yeh tarti desasri hadodi. So that you shouldn't be taking two contradictory positions. Hainu, he explains it. Deladas Rabbi Yehuda b'Gemara, according to Rabbi Yehuda, in Brachas Chazayin Amud Aleph, Zman mincha nimshach rag ad plag mincha. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you could only daven mincha until plag. Umisham ve'elech uzman tfilas arvis. After plag you daven ma'ariv. Uladas rabbanon zman mincha had soif hayoim. Mincha is until the end of the day. Uzman ma'ariv hu be'erev, and the zman of ma'ariv is already after nightfall. So you can't daven mincha after plag and daven ma'ariv right after plag. That would be tarti desasi. You're doing halfway like Rabbi Yehuda. That's how you're davening ma'ariv after plag, and you're doing halfway like the Chachamim, and you're davening mincha also after plag. That you can't do. But there are those that say, and he brings this down from the Derech HaChaim. There are those that say the B'tzibur, that if a tzibur is doing this, yesh lahakel hispal ma'ariv miba'od yom, we would be makel, and we would let you daven ma'ariv while it's still day, meaning before tzeis hakechavim, af im hispal mincha akar plag mincha, even if you daven the mincha after plag. There are those that would be matter this. The Bir Halacha, he says the reason we would be matter it, the Derech Chaim says, is because the Derech Chaim says, let's get real. It was the minig b'chol tfutzas Yisrael to daven mincha before Shkia and daven ma'ariv right after Shkia. Why? Because it's too difficult to get people to come to shul twice. To get them to come to shul 20 minutes before Shkia for mincha, and then have them go home, and then have them come back after Tzesek Echavim to daven ma'ariv, they're not coming to shul twice. So they brought them out to shul once, and they did mincha ma'ariv, which is still the minig in vast swaths of Klal Yisrael. That's still the minig. But this problem is that this minig doesn't have a makar in Shas. That's why some people don't like it. But that was the minig all over the place. So the Derech Chaim says, okay, you know what? In a sense, we're always doing this. Because we daven mincha before Shkia. Now that's not like Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you can only daven mincha till plag. And then they're davening ma'ariv right after Shkia. Now, davening ma'ariv after Shkia, that's not Shitas Chachamim. According to the Chachamim, you can't daven ma'ariv until after Tzesek Echavim. So if you're davening right after Shkia, that's not Shitas Chachamim. So what is it? It's really Shitas Rabbi Yehuda. So, kind of, the minig became to do Tarti Desasri all the time. So, if you're doing that kind of Tarti Desasri all the time during the week, then you can be makel on Friday night. That was loosely what the Bir Halacha says over here from the Derech HaChaim. But, says the Mishnah Berurah, venerally it would seem to me, she'ein lismar chalzeh, you should only do this, rak kishu mispal ma'ariv al kol panim bebein hashmoshes. What the Mishnah Berurah suggests is like this. You know what you could do? Daven mincha after plag, but before Shkia. If it's after plag and it's before Shkia, so essentially you're following Shitas Chachamim that you could still daven mincha after plag. Now you're going to go ahead and you're going to daven ma'ariv before Tzeis HaKechavim. But even though it's before Tzeis HaKechavim, since it's after Shkia, and I'm talking now in the world of the Gra, when it comes to Zman, not Rabbeinu Tam. If you daven the mincha before Shkia, so yeah, you daven the mincha after plag, now you daven ma'ariv after Shkia, but after Shkia is already Tzesek Echavim. Tzesek Echavim is Safik Yom, Safik Laila. So there's definitely at least a Safik that even according to the Chachamim, Bein Hashmoshes is Safik Laila. So at least you're davening ma'ariv at a time that's at least Safik Laila. That's what the Mishnah Berurah means here. He says, "V'nir li she'ein lismach al zeh rak yishu b'spal ma'ariv al kol panim bebein hashmoshes." And b'shas chak. The Mishnah Berurah really only wants this to be a shas chak. Aval lo yikishu adayin v'ada yom. Not during a time before Shkia, that's v'ada yom. Kriya Shema Yachsev Yikra Kishu Vade Laila. Of course, Kriya Shema, which is a daraisa, you have to repeat Kriya Shema after Tzesek Echavim when it's Vade Laila. Va'ayin beBir Halacha, he says, he sends you to the Bir Halacha for greater detail. So just again, to wrap it up, what's done, the minig in so many places during the summer months to make early Shabbos, the preferential way to do it is to daven mincha before plag. So now, according to Rabbi Yehuda, you're okay. You daven mincha before plag mincha. Now you'll do Kabbalah Shabbos and Ma'ariv after Plag. You can't do Kabbalah Shabbos before Plag because you can't be Kabbalah Shabbos before Plag. So you'll daven Kabbalah Shabbos and Ma'ariv after Plag. So you're living in the world of Rabbi Yehuda. You're davening Mincha before Plag HaMincha. You're davening Ma'ariv after Plag HaMincha. There's no Tarti Desasri. You're doing exactly the Shitas Rabbi Yehuda. You don't follow Shitas Rabbi Yehuda all week. All week you daven Mincha after Plag until Shkia, and you don't daven Ma'ariv until after Tzeis. Friday night you could be Mekel. Why? And you could be Falazach on Rabbi Yehuda. Why could you do it? Because Taisvei Shabbos compels you to turn night into day anyway. So we could do Shittas Rabbi Yehuda on Friday night. Now, you don't want to do that? You don't want to do that? That's too early for you. So you want to daven Mincha after Plag, but you don't want to wait until after Tzeitzakei Chavim to daven Ma'ariv. So says the Mishnah Berurah, what you could do, and the Mishnah Berurah says you should only do this in a Shas Chak, is you could take a daven Mincha all the way up to Shkia. So you're going to daven Mincha after Plag, which is a no-no according to Rabbi Yehuda. But you could daven Mincha after Plag, and then daven Ma'ariv after Shkia. Now, it's still before Tzeis, but it's after Shkia. Why is that okay? Because after Shkia is Ben Hashmoshes. Ben Hashmoshes, even the Chachamim agree that Ben Hashmoshes is Safek Yom, Safek Laila. So there's at least a Safek that it already might be Laila. So you know what? Taisvei Shabbos, Safek Yom, Safek Laila will already allow you to daven Ma'ariv early, to daven Ben Hashmoshes, and then say Kriyas Shema over again. And remember, everything that I just said is in the world of the Gra when it comes to Zmanim. Right? That Ben Hashmoshes starts right after Shkia. Until Shkia is Vadayim. After Shkia starts Ben Hashmoshes. Not in the world of Rabbeinu Tam. According to Rabbeinu Tam, Ben Hashmoshes doesn't start until 13 and a half minutes before Tzeitzakei Chavim, much later. But I'm not going to go through this in all the detail. According to Shitas Rabbeinu Tam and everything else, that would require a separate share. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. The schus of limud HaTorah should be making against Klal Yisrael. The Rebbeinu should said Yeshua Sefruas Parnasa and Shaduchim to all those in need. Everybody should please have in mind Tzvi ben Leah Miriam for Refuah Shalema. Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. Be well.